Hello, welcome to Paul Makes Games. My name is Paul and it is week 9 of my Make a Game a Week project, and it is the middle of the week, which means it is time to look back on last week and reflect on the game which was released and talk about feedback that I got, what went well and what I have learnt. Last week I released a game called ZeroG Recovery. It is a game where you play as a combat medic in the far future, where your task is to rescue downed teammates in zero-gravity environments. I mentioned this in the release video, but I am really happy with how this game turned out. I was following on from the previous reflection videos, where I wanted to have a lesser scoped game where I could concentrate more on the game mechanics and the polish. So let's talk about the feedback that I got. Overall, it was very positive. Pretty much everyone I spoke to who had either played the game or watched some gameplay liked the main gameplay mechanic of floating around in space and throwing people around to save them. One of the things I learned from this is that simplicity can be really important when it comes to game mechanics. And this is for a few reasons. One, it is pretty easy for me to create this mechanic in code, which meant I could play it and straight away feel if it was fun to play. Secondly, it's an easy concept for people to understand. You can watch a video or watch someone else play it and pick up the gist of what's going on really quickly. Good signs for a good game mechanic. The fact that you are throwing teammates, as well as being funny, gave a skill element to the game as well and gave players the freedom to experiment with how to complete a level. An example of this was when my flatmate was playing a level and he saved a soldier by pull-shotting him with another soldier into the evac area, which I thought was brilliant. A friend mentioned the UI and how you drag the level selector and the transparency of the dialogues really gave the game a real spacey emptiness feeling, which is awesome because that is definitely the feeling that I wanted with the game. Another really cool suggestion was that the level selection would be in-game, so you would float around as the character to select levels. Maybe you could be in a space station or a ship, and there were things you could throw around and you could practice with the controls. I think this would add to the immersion and open up more natural ways to navigate throughout the level. For example, instead of having levels just unlock, instead you could have inaccessible areas that you could only get to once you've gained the right upgrades or experience. Very cool. There are definitely things that could be improved though with the game. One thing a lot of people mentioned, and I definitely noticed myself, was that when you go back to the level selection, it resets the position to the first level. Even though it doesn't affect gameplay, it is one of those quality of life things that can really start grinding on you. And especially as you want the player to keep playing and going on to the next level, you are making that harder and more annoying, which is not good user experience. Secondly, there is a bit of a flaw with the game design, which was something a few people mentioned and I completely agree with, and that is with the turrets and the difficulty to get around them. Level 8 is a prime example of this issue, and where some players just rage quitted out of the game because of it. The issue with the turrets is that they are an obstacle, where there is a time window where you can get around them. In this example, the gaps between the bullets. This is a classic type of obstacle that you'll see in so many platformers, and the way it works is that the player learns the pattern and can execute a set of moves to get around it. It is all about precision, usually in a fraction of a second. But unlike, say, a game like Mario, where you can be very precise with your movements, in Zero-G, when you're floating around in space and your only real way to control is by jumping off a wall that can potentially be seconds away, you might be juggling positions and power and rotation, and you can't have this precision which just makes the turrets frustrating and sometimes more about luck than skill to get around them. I did try and fix this with the level design by making sure there were grabbable objects close to the bullet streams to give players a bit more precision, but I think this needs to be fixed by either changing the controls or changing the way the turrets work. One idea I had on how this could be improved would be to add like a burst or dash move where you temporarily increase your speed going through space. That would mean you could have that moment of waiting for that gap in the bullets and executing the right move at the right time. This is one potential option I would experiment with if I came back to this game. But all in all, I am happy with how ZeroG Recovery turned out. I think it's a fun little platform puzzle game with a unique hook, which has a lot of potential to become a bigger game. By all means, let me know if that's something you would be interested in seeing in the future. But week 8 was definitely a success. This week, I am changing up my design process again and going for a completely pen and paper approach to the game design. What I mean by that is that I am resisting my urges to start coding and drawing art until I have a complete game design written out on paper. This is an approach that I know definitely is favoured by a lot of designers, and I'm interested to see how it turns out. As for the game itself, the tagline for it is a tactical alpaca farming simulator game. If you want to hear more about that or just the project in general, you can follow me on Twitter at Paul Makes Games, and of course subscribe to this channel and watch my other videos. And with that, thank you so much for watching and playing my games, and have a great rest of your day.